are here today to review First Class. It's a card drafting game, I guess you'd call it.
It's definitely card drafting.
Yeah, where you're traveling the Orient Express.
Yeah, card drafting, tableau building.
Yep. So make sure you follow along on our train as we go. See what it is? As we travel through all of our game collection, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can join along, get your ticket, get your seat,
and the notification bell, so that when the next time
all aboard,
get on with another game, you'll know about it.
All right. So who made this game?
So First Class came out in 2016. The designer is Helmut Oli. Art by Michael Menzel. Published by Z-Man Games. It plays 2 to 4. It's out of print, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to find it. It's MSRP is originally $49.99. I saw it on the geek market for $40.
So the train left the station, huh?
Doop, doop.
But as far as the quality of components, the cards actually have a nice texture to them.
Yeah, they're not bad.
They're
not super thin either. They got some thickness to them. The cardboard itself, though, it's all right. It's nothing special about cardboard.
Yeah, you got little engineer meeples.
Yep, and little train meeples as well.
Engineer is a lot bigger than a train. It looks kind of like those little kid trains that you see.
It's a matter of perspective. The train's really far away.
Oh, is it?
And so,
Well, he's standing on it, so it's not real far away.
No, it looks like he's standing.
Oh, okay. So
it's all magic and mirrors and stuff.
All right. So as far as the components, I actually think it's pretty good for what you get. I mean,
it's not bad
because it's basically a card game. Cards are the main part of the game.
Yeah.
And they've done a nice job with those. I'm going to probably give this one, I think, a 7.
I think 7's a good score.
As far as the theme, I mean, it's a really cool way they've done this. It's component-based.
Kind of 2 parts, and it's kind of neat how both parts play into it.
Yeah, so you have a base deck of cards that are all marked with an X, and that's included in all games. And then there are 5 different, basically, scenario decks that you can pick any 2 of and combine them and create your own game out of it. So there's lots of different variable ways of playing this because you got every combination of those 5 decks.
Our first game suggested decks A and B.
So yeah, that's what we played with, and basically one gave you kind of multiplier bonuses for your scoring, and one gave you some
lots of different things. Yeah. Building a train tracks or multipliers and all kinds of different stuff. Yeah,
so there's a lot of different flexibility in the decks. One of the decks I'm really eager to play is a murder mystery one, which sounds really cool from what I was reading on it. So just a neat little bunch of mixed hodgepodge ways of playing the game, but they're going to vary this game a lot. But I love the motif. I love the theme of it. I love the art is really cool.
The art's really nice.
I love the layout of the back of the cards, just the little pocket watch. It just, it looks like what you would see like on the Orient Express, the Murder on the Orient Express movie or whatever. I really like the way this looks.
I think the art gets a little samey, but it's very aesthetic. It's very pleasing to the eye. Artwork is really done. Whoever, Michael Menzel's actually, the drawings, they're not quite photorealistic, but they're pretty darn good. So I really do like the art, and I think it comes out well in the theme.
Yeah, and I mean the player boards are really cool the way they've set them up too. They're very functional.
Yeah, very. I mean, it's minimal, but it works very well.
But it looks like the stuff you might find in your briefcase and sitting there, and they got the keyholes that look like the engineers in the train. I thought that was really neat.
That's kind of neat.
I mean, just the aesthetics of this game.
It's just those little touches.
Yeah,
that makes it kind of cool.
Yeah. So. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I think.
I was thinking 8 as well for theme. I think it does it really, really well. It's really cool. And for a train game, it's pretty simple. So.
Yeah, it is. This is probably if you can make it through the rulebook, which we'll get to in a minute, it's a very light game. Yeah. It's really...
Randy annihilated me in the score, but I just focused on the wrong things, I think, but it wasn't hard to pick up.
No. So I think, we covered theme score now. So let's move on to the rule book. This is where things get fun. So
it's not written incorrectly.
No, it's
let me preface
yes.
this before Randy goes.
Yes.
I don't know if you'll go off, but it's not written incorrectly.
It is not hard to read. I can't say that. It is 16 pages long. It probably could have been written in 4. There are 12 pages worth of extraneous commentary, examples that are completely superfluous that you don't need. It felt like they were teaching you as if you were a first grader.
Yeah.
They would show you things like you can add a car to the end of your train. And then they go through an example saying,
actually showing
Helga adds a car to the end of her train. It was really, really overdone. And we got a good laugh after we saw the pattern that was forming on everything.
We just made fun of the rest of the time.
And there was, it would say, like, the car to the left has to be higher in value than the car on the right. And then they would have another bullet that would say the card on the right has to be lower than the card on the left, in case you couldn't figure that out. So it was, I guess it's better.
Full of that.
Better to be overdone than underdone, but
then to show examples on top of that explanation.
Yes,
so it's like 3 layers of it.
So it was not painful to read, it was just
it was
boring.
Enjoyable.
It was
for my part.
It was funny because we were like predicting it.
Yeah, because we were making fun of the whole thing. If you don't approach the rulebook with a sense of humor, though, it might drive you a little bit batty.
Yes. And this is just the first rulebook. There's actually a second rulebook, and this is for the modules. So this is
didn't touch it.
No, we did.
Oh, did we?
Yeah,
I didn't think we really got into it.
It has card references for the cards that you add, so I looked at it for that purpose. So this is useful for when you're trying to look like the module A being the contracts. It has a description of what all the contracts iconography is. And then module B was the multipliers one, and that's, so we were looking at those to check and see how they played. But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think it's an effective. This was much more effective than the rule book itself.
And then while we were looking up the information, we did see that there's quite a few modules in addition to what comes in the box. So the amount of replayability pretty darn high.
Yeah, if you can track them down.
Yeah, if you can track them down.
Because I think they were released, some of them were released in part of the Spielbox books, magazines, which I wish they printed here in the U.S., but they don't. You have to import them. So I'm going to have to try to work my way to finding all the stuff for this, because we did enjoy it.
We did enjoy it, and I think Miranda would like it quite a bit.
As far as the rules, I'm going to probably go ahead and give them, 6.5
really?
maybe. Well, they weren't bad. I mean, you can't
I'm not saying that they're not bad, but it's just, I think it could be bad on the other side of bad.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, it got the job done. We learned the game. There was no confusion.
The rulebook of Catan gets the job done, but it's not as bad as that. It's not as...
I guess you could make that argument. I guess I could lower it to a 5.5. It did its job. It gave
well, right. I guess the positive of it, though, is that we don't laugh at the Catan book.
Exactly. No entertainment factor at all in the Catan book. This one, at least, we got a few good laughs, and you didn't fall asleep as a result.
That's true. That's very true.
So, yeah, I think it did its job well. And I think the modules add-up expansion thing, this bumped it up a bit.
I get that.
All right.
So you stick with a 6.
I moved down to 5.5.
All right.
It was a painful read, blatantly. I felt kind of like, okay, really? You're teaching down to me? Really? Okay. As far as gameplay, so the game starts out, you have a tableau of 18 cards that you draft from, and there's 3 different colors for each round, because there's 3 rounds in the game. But there's actually 6 rounds in the game, but you
2
play
rounds for each.
Yeah, 2 rounds per deck. So there's a green deck, which is 1, blue deck is 2, and red deck's 3. So you play 6 rounds. So you're going to have 18 cards out. Regardless of number of players, you're always going to have the 18. And then there's a starting player tile, which is always out, which can be claimed to take the starting player. And that would be considered one of the cards. And when you take it, you eliminate one of the cards from the top row. As far as the cards will give you abilities which will either add train cars to your car, upgrade your train cars, add track to your train track for your train to run down,
or coin,
or give you coin,
or multipliers for
Yeah.
your abilities that you
yeah,
play.
depending on which one you're playing,
Which type of modifier you're playing.
Yeah. And then there's in-game scoring bonuses that are related to the cards that you collect
Which
during
is
the
one
game.
of the funniest parts of the rulebook.
Yeah.
We laughed the most, I think,
Was
at the in-game scoring because of how it reiterated that at the end of the game you score your in-game cards.
Yes.
And then at the end of the game it says you score your in-game cards.
Exactly.
So it said multiple times.
Yeah, there was several redundant statements in the rulebook. So you also get a hand of 4 cards that each person has the same 4, but you can only play 2 of them during the course of the game because they represent the position 6 car in your train. So your train can grow up to 10 length, and if you get all the way to the 10th car, or actually the 9th car, you automatically get to take one of the number 10s and put it down, and you get to score in-game bonus for your taking those cars.
And not to mention, they also have an ability on that card as well.
Yeah.
So it's a hugely powerful thing.
Yeah. So, basically this whole thing is about getting your cars and your train to score you points, because each time you hit every even round, so at the end of each deck, you're going to score how far you've got your train built,
assuming you get
your engineers, because you have an engineer for each train, and if you can move them along the track, you get them to the end. They score everything to their left every other round.
Yep.
So you want to try to get this maxed out, and that's what Rob you kind of failed to do early in the game. You focused on the train up here, which was actually helpful too. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that because you get victory points along the way there as well.
I just didn't score as much.
Yes, because you only get those one time, whereas this gets scored every other time. Not to mention there are perks that you get along the way on the track.
Well, I think the other reason why maybe I didn't score as much up here as you did here is that there were not that many upgrade cards. So if you went first, you grabbed the best one. And then there might have been another one where maybe you got to upgrade 2 cards or I got to upgrade 1.
Yeah.
So you were able to upgrade a lot quicker, but then you moved your engineers where I didn't move them at all.
Yeah.
And that really hurt me there. But you were able to upgrade a lot quicker than I was able to. So
yeah, and I also got some contracts in there. The contracts, that's one of the modules you can play. And the contracts, basically, once you meet the condition of it, if you have that contract in your possession, you get the perk from it, which is a nice perk.
And they're interesting contracts, too. They're not just, you have to have X, Y. You have to have X, Y in certain locations, too.
Yeah.
It might say you have to have a level 2 right next to a level 2 train, or you have to have a 4 above a 2, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, too. So it really added more strategic depth to it, and not just, just building out a train.
Yeah.
So.
And then the piece we didn't talk about was the coins. So the coins, you accumulate them along the way, and they give you actions on your player board that you can trigger by spending a coin. You have to fill them in the first column first, and then on your going across, because they give you more powerful
left to
abilities.
right, bottom to top.
But you can spend any order you want when you spend them from the. So if I can either spend it for the column it is, or I can spend 4 coins in general to draw another in-game bonus. So you can actually stockpile a bunch of those and potentially win the game too.
And I really pushed the coins pretty hard on my game, and that did help, but it just not enough. But it was kind of neat being able to do these anytime I want special abilities. That didn't count against my actions. So.
Yeah, and that was actually, it was really convenient for me a few times because I would cash.
And that's how you were able to upgrade as quickly as you did. He cashed his in, that gave him his 0 card, and then he picked his action card that then immediately upgraded him.
Yeah, because these have values, they start out at 0, but you have to increment them up all the way up to 12. So that they increment, the higher they get, the better incremental you get. Because it goes, 1's at the beginning, and then it jumps up 2, 3, and 4. Or actually,
so you got 1, 2, 4, 7, and 12.
Yeah.
So, and there's no in between. So it's not a 2 to 3, 4. It's 2 to 4.
Yeah, and I thought they cleverly did the cards where they put them 2-sided, so they could.
I thought that was pretty nice too.
Although I kept trying to keep thinking 1 would infinitely flip, and I could just turn the 2 into a 7, and the 4 into a 7.
It's magic.
Yeah. So yeah, it didn't quite work the way I was thinking it would because I was just that dumb because the rule book had dumbed me down. But it's really a cleverly designed game as far as how simple it is.
Yeah.
Really, if you get down to the bare bones, all you're doing is picking 3 cards per round.
And the in-game scoring is pretty nice too because it looks at the cards you collect.
Mm-hmm.
So if you collect a lot of one type, you really can score quite a bit of points if you then get in-game scoring that focused on the card type that you selected for your actions.
Yeah. So I mean,
there's just a lot of. I wouldn't have thought it was a point salad, but it's pretty darn close to being a point salad game.
I think it is.
So, because there's really scoring on your trains, scoring on the tracks, and in-game scoring, and sometimes even being able to score off the cards that you get.
Yeah, and I'm really eager to play all the different combinations
now. Yeah, I am too, just to try it out.
And now I'm really bummed that I don't know if I'm going to be able to track down all those other combination ones. So I'm going to have to start searching. But yeah,
or if you have a hookup, let us know.
Yeah, I really did enjoy this one. It's a shame it's out of print because I was able to pick it up off of Board Game Geek from someone selling it. That was the only way I could get it.
Yeah, when I get the money, if it's still available, I'm thinking I'm going to pick it even though you have it just because I think it'd be easy to teach other people when I go to other game nights. So I think other people would enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah,
I think it's definitely one that will hit the table more now that we know how to play it.
Yeah, because we didn't get Dragon Mother into this. I think she would like it a lot.
So, but I think my overall assessment on this, I'm going to give it an 8.5, I think, from the first play.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's our initial review, but I'm really impressed with it, too. I think 8.5 is a good score. It can, in my opinion, only go up.
Yeah.
And especially with the modules that sound as cool as they appear to be.
Yeah, that murder mystery one really intrigued me. I love murder mysteries to begin with, and the fact that you get to play a role, you potentially get eliminated from the game if you,
which we don't like player elimination. But this is sounds like it might be. Yeah, it might be kind of cool.
It's just it stops you from winning is all it does. You still play, but you won't know you're eliminated till the end anyway because it's based upon who has the most evidence. Plus, who has the most evidence against them. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, I haven't read the other ones yet, but that one alone has me really stoked. That's actually when I heard it had a murder mystery in it. That's why I got the game because I didn't know what I didn't know how it was going to play out.
Right.
But that one really had me excited.
Sound cool.
So yeah, I definitely want to play this again with Miranda. I think she'll really enjoy it too.
And it played well too.
Yeah.
It might, who knows what? I think it'd play even better at 3 because this doesn't get reset as quickly with 3-player because you only have to use 2 cards and bam, it's gone.
Yeah.
And so with 3-player, I think is it 3 cards? I would assume.
Yeah, it's the same. It's based on the number of players.
Each row might last a little bit longer if each person picks a different row. So it'd be kind of cool.
So yeah, I think this scaled well. I mean, you didn't change. It's one of the problems I have with 2-player versions of regular games is that you have to block these spaces,
or
you have to remove this stuff from the game.
Or you have a bot or something like that.
Yeah, but this one there was no variance other than just cards
just reset the
got
cards.
reset faster. Yeah, so I think this is definitely a great one. If you can track it down, if you're like really easy to learn games that it might have really long rule books for no reason,
but has a little bit of depth, not a lot, but it has a little bit of strategic depth in it, and it surprised me.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely a good pickup.
I think 8.5 is a good score.
All right, well, that's our assessment of First Class. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and you'll join us again in the future. And get your ticket, join the seat, get your seat
right now.
Hit that subscribe button so you'll be part of the next train ride.
All right, have a good night.
All right, choo choo.
Bye.